Welcome. My name is Jim Devlin, and in this presentation we will look at multiple intelligences, a learning style created by Dr. Howard Gardner. This model has been widely accepted since its inception, but for me, the story is personal. This is the story of a boy, our son, Cobb, and how he piqued my interest in education. As a child of the 90s, he struggled mightily in school, and his grades and the frequent teacher conferences were proof of that. We were on a first-name basis with his third-grade teacher, but for all the wrong reasons. Later, we were introduced to the theory of multiple intelligences by a teacher who noted his interest in music. She began tying that into lessons, and suddenly, school wasn't a chore it had been. His school scores began improving. Behavior issues also decreased. It was easy to make the connection that recognizing his learning style was critical to his success in the classroom, and we continued to do that through elementary and high school. For several generations, intelligence has been thought of as just intellectual intelligence, and since 1905 it has been measured by the intelligence quotient, or IQ test, and this provided a linear measurement, but we learned with Cobb that the IQ score isn't always the best marker for intelligence. Dr. Howard Gardner, a developmental psychologist working at the Boston Veterans Administration Hospital, noticed that there was a wider range of cognitive intelligences. In 1983, Dr. Gardner published Frames of the Mind, the Theory of Multiple Intelligences, and proposed that people can learn in several different ways, listing 7 different learning styles. Linguistic verbal for people who are word smart, musical for the music smart person, logical mathematical for those who are number smart, visual spatial people are picture smart, bodily kinesthetic for the body smart people, and for the personal intelligences, intrapersonal for the deep thinkers, and interpersonal for those who dealt well with other people. 16 years after Frames was first published, Dr. Gardner added another intelligence, naturalistic. This is for the person who is more in tune with nature. And in 2006, Gardner suggested a 9th intelligence, existential, in his book Multiple Intelligences, New Horizons in Theory and Practice. This intelligence is shown by students who can see the big picture and are deep, conceptual thinkers. It should be noted that while all 9 of these intelligences can be found in every person at varying degrees, students usually excel in 1 or 2. So what we know is that education should not come in a one-size-fits-all approach, and multiple intelligences is a way for teachers to understand and accommodate the differing learning styles of students. Students should be encouraged to use their dominant style, especially because they retain information more effectively in that style or styles. Also, students can access more than one learning style, and they can go hand in hand to help the learner. For example, there is research that shows that students with an active engagement in musical instruction, especially rhythmic, can have improved math scores. There are a number of factors for choosing this theory, and as I mentioned, for me, the first is it's personal. Seeing the impact it had on our son made me a believer, and shortly after, I started experimenting with it in weekly faith formation classes. It was best implemented either in groups of like-minded students or in learning centers where students could try multiple styles rotating through the classroom. Online options can include blogs and online forums for intrapersonal learners, video or digital projects for visual spatial learners, learning games or chart creation tools for mathematical learners, and online video or drone tours for naturalistic learners. For this exercise, we will use a class on Solomon's Temple from the Old Testament of the Bible. Solomon was the son of King David and was the 3rd king of Israel. He built the Israelites' first temple in 957 BCE. We can create activities specific to the intelligences of the learners, which can be completed and performed in the classroom. Here are some examples. For the visual linguistic learner, We can have them read the Bible story and the notes included. They can define key vocabulary or create a retelling of the story to enact. The logical or mathematical learner can take the temple's measurements from the Bible story and find the equivalency in today's standards of measurement. Knowing our church's measurement, they can calculate how many would fit inside the temple. The naturalist would read through the story and they could notice how many types of trees were listed. The cedars of Lebanon are mentioned, but what makes them different from those grown in Israel or other parts of the world at that time? In the Bible, David dances before the Lord, and a bodily kinesthetic learner can create a dance to perform. Or musical learners can look to Solomon and his father David. They wrote many of the Psalms as songs, and the learner can choose a psalm and set it to music of their own tune. The e-learning classroom is the same lesson but geared to at-home instruction. An example of the activities here would be the visual spatial learner who is tasked with creating a model of the temple, taking a picture of it, and then submitting that. So in summary, Dr. Howard Gardner created multiple intelligences in 1983. Initially, there were 7 intelligences listed, but 2 others have been added to bring that total to 9. These intelligences are found in varying degrees within every person, but only 1 or 2 are applied by a person for each situation. And the multiple intelligences theory can be applied to both in-class and online settings with minor adjustments.